Well, we have some breaking news for you surrounding Donald Trump's tariffs. CTV's Jeremie Charron joins us now with the details. Jeremie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Renee, look, a long-awaited result from the U.S. Supreme Court on the use of IEEPA tariffs by U.S. President Donald Trump. The court has ruled 6-3 in favor of the fact that the use of Donald Trump's tariffs and the imposition of those tariffs was unlawful. And so that means 6 of the judges ruling with the court's ruling to deem the imposition of these tariffs unlawful. 3 of them providing dissenting opinions, saying that they do believe that they were lawful. But ultimately, this means the Supreme Court is ruling against the use of U.S. President Donald Trump's IEEPA tariffs. Those are the tariffs that many know here in Canada as fentanyl-related tariffs. Renee, 35% on all goods not covered by CUSMA, 10% on energy products. These were imposed early on in the trade war by U.S. President Donald Trump as a means to address what he called a fentanyl emergency at the U.S. border. Canada implemented a bunch of measures at the border to address some of U.S. President Donald Trump's concerns, but he has insisted that the fentanyl crisis is still a national emergency, and that has been the crux, the justification for these IEEPA tariffs that have been imposed on Canada as well as other countries. So the Supreme Court now ruling against U.S. President Donald Trump and his implementation of these tariffs while using that emergency to underpin these tariffs. And so this is significant. This is a significant blow to U.S. President Donald Trump. He and his administration have already been clear that they will look to other legal means to impose tariffs if the Supreme Court were to rule against him, which we now know it has. But this is absolutely significant when you look at the pressure that he is facing in his trade policies. He is now, at the judicial level, facing pushback on the use and the implementation of these tariffs. He has faced pushback from the U.S. House of Representatives, which has, voted against the use of some of these tariffs as well. The same set of tariffs, just recently, they passed a bill to roll the tariffs back. So, this is, the latest pushback that U.S. President Donald Trump is facing when it comes to these tariffs, and this time a significant blow at the judicial level, the Supreme Court ruling that the implementation of those IEEPA tariffs on Canada were not lawful.
And just to be really clear, Jeremie, does this mean that tariffs on Canada are canceled?
Well, what happens following this decision is not as clear as the decision itself. I have yet to go through the entirety of the decision. It's about 170 pages. The court could rule on how countries that have had to pay these tariffs, or rather how these tariffs could be returned to the companies that have paid them as a result of this ruling. So it could rule on that, but there is a process that will now go into place to try and recoup some of the revenues that have been collected as a result of these tariffs. Although, again, U.S. President Donald Trump has been clear that he and his administration will look to different legal means to try and still implement these same kinds of tariffs, and have vowed that they'll be able to recoup all of the revenues that they would lose as a result of this decision through different means. So, the immediate process that follows is not exactly clear, could take some time. Experts on trade law have warned that, it could be a difficult task to fight in the courts to get the money back that, companies may have lost as a result of these tariffs. But this will initiate a process in which, companies will have the legal means now to try and fight to get that money back. So there's a long road ahead still for the impacts of these tariffs to be recuperated. But this is a significant blow to U.S. President Donald Trump and his administration, and a legal ruling against the use of these tariffs.
Okay, Jeremie, excellent report. Let us know and keep us posted as you learn more. That's CTV's Jeremie Charron live for us in Ottawa.